Just to broaden that to the topic of the Melbourne Sandbelt itself, because we're sitting here at Peninsula Kingswood, which is one of the very best of them. You know, it's the best collection of golf courses within a small, say, 20-kilometre radius in the world, I would imagine. Now, you've played at the Monterey Peninsula, which is another one that in California, which people talk about. You're a great lover of the east coast of Scotland, I think. The links courses there. There's really nothing better. Can you explain why, to people why that is, what makes it what it is?
Well, I mean, everybody loves Scotland, obviously. My favourite area is probably Fife, around the St Andrews, Carnoustie, kind of, and you get down to like the Muirfield, that kind of whole east coast area of Scotland. And east of Southampton, New York, with Shinnecock National, Maidstone, Friars Head. I mean, that's a pretty dense spot of incredible golf. But the Sandbelt is unique in that it's an unbelievable collection of golf courses. Let's say 4 or 5 outrageously world-class courses and about 4 or 5 that are really contenders for that as well, all within a 10 square kilometre kind of area, 20 square kilometre, I mean, really close. And it kind of walks that great kind of middle line between links golf and parkland golf. It has all the firmness and the style of play as the links golf, but you're a little bit more protected with some trees and stuff around, and it's a little bit less exposed or something, and less rugged and raw as a links course. So it's that kind of, it walks that beautiful line in the middle. Because people get on links courses and after a while you just get sick of getting hit by the wind and it being so kind of rugged, and then you get on parkland courses, you're going to get sick that they're so uniformly green and white sand and you're a bit too protected and the ball doesn't bounce. You kind of walk that middle line there on the Sandbelt in general, and it makes you a better golfer because angles matter, where you miss it matters, and when the ground has a bounce on it, a firmness, it matters how the ball's got there to get that bounce. You can't just like blow it away with this big high thing and hope it's going to stop where it lands. Well, no, if you hit it like that, it's going to bounce like this, but if you hit it a different way, it's going to bounce a different way. And I think it just makes it a deeper, a game with more nuance or something, and I think whether people recognise that or not, with the visual appeal of the Sandbelt, like that really manicured, beautiful fairways and the rugged off the edge, that texture you get, the contrast between good and bad, and the golf it gets you to play, I think naturally everybody just, it becomes almost everyone's favourite style of golf. Similar to kind of, it's a similar style in like London, like west of London, around the Sunningdale, Swinley Forest, St George's Hill, Wentworth, that Heathland style. It's a similar kind of blending of links and parkland, but I think the Sandbelt does it better.
And you're doing some ambassadorial work for the Sandbelt clubs through Visit Victoria. It's something we shouldn't take for granted, isn't it? It does need to be spoken about and projected to the world, because a lot of people probably don't realise that you can actually play these courses. They're private courses, but they've all got sort of green fee access, within certain restraints. So, you can get on them for a price that, compared to some golf that you would play overseas, would be outrageously good.
And for the quality of courses you're playing and the quality of the city that you're coming to, I mean, it's got to be one of the best golf trips in the world, right? You've got, Melbourne in general is just a great place to visit because of the food and the culture, and it's just one of those sort of cities. But blessed with 5 of the top 100 courses in the world, and another, as I said, a few contenders right next to that are just as good. All in close proximity, generally decent weather. They're in great condition 12 months a year, the Sandbelt too. That's another thing. A lot of these great courses, they have a season, right? A lot of the courses in the north of America, they're outrageously great courses, but they're good for 6 months, right, or 8 months. We get 12 months of golf. I mean, there's people playing at Royal Melbourne every day of the year, Peninsula, Victoria, Metro, every single day of the year. Great memberships. And as for value for money, for high-level golf around the world, the Sandbelt is the cheapest golf you'll find anywhere in the world for high-level golf.
Now, the Australian Open men's event is coming back to Kingston Heath next year. It hasn't been in Melbourne since 2002, which is quite extraordinary in itself, but it's having a one-off trip back to Melbourne, then back to Sydney, then back to Victoria, your club, in 2022. But Kingston Heath's going to set up pretty great as well, isn't it, for an Australian Open? That's a magnificent piece of golf land.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, it's the only thing that probably keeps Kingston Heath from being Royal Melbourne is it just isn't blessed with the drama on the land. Royal Melbourne has the drama. Kingston Heath's a bit flat on a lot of the course, but they've made the best golf course out of just a medium piece of land, I would say, anywhere in the world, really. It's incredible. Everybody, universally loved by everyone who plays it. It's hosted tournaments forever, and they've always gone well. Great champions win there, so it makes good players play well. And finally, the Australian Open back in Victoria. It's been almost my whole career. It's been parked in Sydney, which has been a bit disappointing from a Melbourne person's perspective, but it's going to be brilliant too. And Victoria, 2 years later, my home course growing up, that's going to be a pretty special one too. So 2 of the next 3 in Melbourne, it's going to be great.
So you don't need any prompting to talk about the Sandbelt, do you? It's part of your history. I mean, I think you told me once that you used to drag your golf clubs up to Cheltenham Golf Club behind your bike, to play golf. And you're on the honour boards at Cheltenham, a little 9-hole course right next to Victoria. You grew up, you played your early golf at Victoria, so it's something that's in your blood, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, I grew up, I was a caddy at Royal Melbourne. I'd play every Sunday or something with my father at Sandringham across the road. I could play after 4:30 on the East Course in summer usually when I was caddying at Royal Melbourne. So I'd play there, I'd play Cheltenham, and then I got into Victoria. And anytime we could get game, I played Kingston Heath, Metropolitan, Commonwealth, all these places, Yarra Yarra, all the time. And it was just the way I saw golf. That Malcolm Gladwell outliers thing, all about environment and where you kind of are, and that shapes what you do. It couldn't have been a better upbringing and environment to someone to grow up and who wanted to be a good golfer, to grow up playing as much Sandbelt golf as I did. It was just incredible.
And speaking of your own golf, you're playing in the ISPS Handa Vic Open at 13th Beach early February. Now this is an event that again showcases Victoria as a golf destination, because 13th Beach is a wonderful linksy track, and you love the style of the event, don't you? The format of the event is something that you really appealed to you. I know that you came back and played earlier this year, and you're playing again next year.
Yeah, it's a special event. What the VGA and with the help of the Victorian government have kind of created this unique event where it's LPGA, it's women and men in the same tournament, having 2 tournaments at the same time on the same 36-hole venue, and going men's group, women's group, men's group, women's group. It brings a whole new element of spectators for the men and a whole new element of spectators for the girls, or the women. I enjoyed being amongst them, how they go about it, the girls, and how we go about it. No ropes, crowds on the fairways, which is a much better way to watch golf. Obviously some of the tournaments you play in America and some of the big, like the President's Cup, it's just not logistically feasible to have people on the fairways. But at a kind of a rural kind of setup like 13th Beach is, and you get a sort of a sensible amount of people walking on the fairways, is the best way to watch golf, because you get to hear us hit it properly and you watch the ball fly and you're in the conversations, and that's just a fantastic event at a great venue that suits both styles of game. It's great for the girls and great for the guys. You can set it up the same and it works for both. And brilliant event. Anytime it'll always be on my diary to kind of try to get to the Vic Open while it's in the form that it's in right now, because it's brilliant. And it's the highest prize money tournament in Australia.
So it's full circle for you, because you played in Vic Opens as a young amateur, didn't you? Mm-hmm. Probably as a young pro as well. How did you find playing alongside and with women? And I know that there were some stories that came out last year, for instance, of male and female pros who played together in the Pro-Am and stuff like that, where there were some nice stories about that, wasn't there? It's something that it doesn't happen much anywhere else in the world. I think Europe is trying to cotton onto this right at the moment, but they've got something in Scandinavia soon that's along similar lines. But it's nice for women and men to play together, isn't it?
Well, it's brilliant. What stuck out for me is how hard they worked. I finished my Pro-Am, I think, late Wednesday. I'm walking for the 18th green across the clubhouse to give my Pro-Am card, and when I walk past the putting green, there's 35 people on the putting green, and 34 of them were the girls, grinding. They're working hard. It's the first tournament of their LPGA season, I think, maybe. So they're all doing that. But just how hard they work, how well they play. The only thing they're missing really is strength, relative to our game. But they hit the ball way straighter than us, way more consistently. they play the courses. They have to delve more into strategic stuff because they can't just blow it over bunkers and stuff. They play a more sensible game, and in some ways they're actually better than us at a lot of aspects. And I got a bit out of that. And that being besides, people who are passionate about golf, it doesn't matter who they are, they're fun to play with, right? If they're into it, they're into it. I just loved it. I thought it was a brilliant format that it would probably wear people out because there are logistic issues with having 2 full fields at a venue.
Yeah.
But outside of that, having the girls and guys together, I don't know why that wouldn't work all the time. I think it would work all the time.
And you're on the record, aren't you, as saying that, with our Australian tournaments, we do need to be, thinking out of the box a little bit. We can't match the prize money that Europe and America put up unless some, a late Kerry Packer, someone like that comes along. So we do need to think a little bit differently, don't we?
Well, I think it's about creating a great event. Clearly just a pure traditional 72-hole stroke play event in Australia, if it's not like the Australian Open with some sort of prestige, if it's just an event, it needs to be more than just golf. I mean, Melbourne hosts some of the best events in Australia. Melbourne Cup, no one cares who's running the horse race, really. Grand Prix, doesn't matter. Schumacher, like along the line, down the line, like we just go because it's a great event. It's like the MotoGP. People just go because they love being there. We need to create that with golf a little bit, I think. The Phoenix Open in America, the field is irrelevant and the prize money is irrelevant. It's just a mega tournament because there's all sorts of peripheral stuff and everybody wants to go to the Phoenix Open to watch it and to do all the stuff around it. And 13th of the Vic Open does that a bit. They've created a great event and there's more there than just the golf tournament. Like that week, if you live in the Bellarine Peninsula, you just go because it's the place to be. I think in Australia, if we can do more of that, the Australian Open tennis, it's universally known as everyone's favourite Grand Slam now because of spectator, like how they look after fans, how they look after players, how they've really, like that whole area in the last 30 years around like Flinders Park. It's just incredible, isn't it? Melbourne Park, what do we call it now? And I think golf, it's a different sport in tennis, and it's not a Grand Slam what we're trying to create here. But if you create a great event, people will come, and then the money will come. I think if you chase the money, you never get there. I think you create a great event, and then the money might want to come along because you've created something great.
Turn it around the other way. Last thing, the Bellarine Peninsula has been hosting that event for a few years now, and it's created a real buzz down there. 13th Beach itself is a really good track, but you've got Bowen Heads right near there, you've got Curlewis near there. It's a kind of an underrated golfing destination, isn't it? We're talking about the Sandbelt, but Victoria generally is so lucky to have Mornington Peninsula, Bellarine Peninsula, and lots of good country courses as well.
We do have great rural golf, which I think Victoria is probably New South Wales has some pretty cool courses along the coast, but I think generally Victoria bats above its average when it comes to rural golf. I mean, like Port Fairy's outrageous, and Flinders is amazing, and 13th Beach, and the whole Mornington Peninsula is just great golf courses everywhere. And even some of the Gippsland's got some great courses. The Murray's got great courses. We're pretty fortunate in that golf has obviously always been a priority for Victorians, at least historically. So golf courses have been a pride of place in every little town and stuff like that. And it's kind of the centre of some country towns, right? You go play golf on Saturday and you have a few beers and do the chook raffle and all that. It's part of the whole culture of how we live. And so for golfers, we benefit from that because there's great golf everywhere.
Geoff Ogilvy, thank you.
No worries.